Well, I guess I gotta sit down and look through this. Usually I don't look at or do videos about the Volume 2 catalogs because they usually don't have a lot of stuff in them, but I just got this um, in the mail and wanted to take a look at it. And there were some interesting things in it, and I thought it'd be worth talking about. Some things that are actually good, because I think I have a tendency of berating some of Lionel's stuff. So I want to just see, what they've gotten here. So first off, the cover is very, very, very Polar Express centric. Looking through the catalog, at least skimming through it, I didn't see a whole lot, if not any, Polar Express stuff. Which I don't know. That's kind of odd that they would have that on the cover and not have much in the book. But I mean, it is supposed it's the 20th anniversary, so they're going to be doing crazy things apparently. And I guess a lot of that stuff was in the previous catalog, so if you want to know my thoughts on that, go look at the Volume 1 review that I did a few months ago. Alright, Vision Line. Again, I think almost everything in this part of the catalog is stuff that I can't really afford. Um, but we're greeted with a Conrail GG1, which is a sight for sore eyes. I think it really looks pretty good. So first we have the Congressional, which is a really nice looking set. I think the colors are really well pulled off here. The photoshops that they did actually look pretty good. Sort of a harkening back to the post-war days. I believe that they did a post-war GG1 that was in this paint scheme. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be very wrong on that. But regardless, I think this looks pretty good. One thing about all these GG1s is they want $1,700 for one locomotive. 17. I know it's just fancy stuff. It's gonna cost a lot, but like, why can't we get more stuff like this in the semi-scale or just lower range markets? I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now we have the Senator. It's a nice looking set. And then they have the shadow lined passenger cars, which I don't know if in real life those were also just shadow lined heavyweights. But yeah, the Tuscan Red looks really good. Oh, we got the Penn Central era GG1s with some cars. I think that that's a really good choice. I think some people will like these a lot. And we have the, what was this, United States Savings Bonds with some Amtrak cars. I'm actually not sure why that says United States Savings Bonds on the side. But we have like a Rainbow era Amtrak set, which is honestly pretty good. I like their decision there. Then we have another Amtrak variant. They had a lot of wacky variants of these. They have some aluminum Amtrak cars, which is really, really nice. Again, they're pricey, because of course they are. Then we have a Association of American Railroads set, which it looks pretty good. Next we have a GG1 freight set. I think that that's pretty nice. I like this other paint scheme for the GG1 as well. Then we have a post-war inspired Madison car set. This is nice. I like this a lot. The whole set costs $2,400, which, yeah, make of that what you will. Not anything I'm going to be going for anytime soon. Got a Lionel Lines passenger car set with the GG1. It's nice. We're into the diesels. We have some neat diesels here. These SD70 Aces are $700, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but still not something I would pay. Okay. I like the Sea-Liners. Those look nice. That's a nice addition. Again, $600 for like some really probably pretty nice units. Isn't the worst thing in the world, but again, not my cup of tea. They have a Milwaukee Road Sea-Liner. Canadian Pacific, Central, Pennsy. They have some PAs. These actually look really good. Got a lot of classic paint schemes here. The PAs are 1,200 bucks for a AA set, as far as I can tell, and the B units are 500 bucks. So pretty penny for these. And then they have another exclusive Halloween section, which is odd. I think the War Bonnet inspired paint on the FAs looks kind of neat. And again, while I'm not a huge fan of all the gimmicky stuff, it's still cool. Like, I think it's neater than the Christmas stuff. It's a little less gaudy, but it's still kind of gaudy. But, you know, there's something to appreciate about very campy trains. You can make personalized boxcars for Halloween, apparently. I do wonder how many people are going to do that. It might be kind of popular. Apparently, it costs $100 to get your personalized boxcar, which, fair enough if it's personalized, but, you know, might as well just do that yourself with some decals. They have SW1s, which these are adorable little switchers. They want $550 for these. Not horrible. I think the Amtrak one is cute. I think they're all neat, but if I were to get one, I'd probably get the Amtrak unit. Oh, they have a Falcon Service Chicago Northwestern unit, which is actually pretty neat. Like, I wouldn't expect them to do that. It's a pretty cool looking locomotive. It is $650. We got steam here. We got the Y6B. Those are cool. Like, I don't know. They're not exactly my thing, but they are just very cool. I think Norfolk and Western steam in general is very neat. They will set you back $2,000. So, yeah. If it's worth it, sure. If it's your thing, yeah. If you have pockets deep enough for these, of course. But, yeah, again, not really my thing. We have a lot of fantasy schemes for these. I like these Mikados a lot. They're very, I think they're very handsome-looking steam locomotives. I don't know. I like all of these. The Sioux Line one is actually, I've seen that locomotive in real life. If I were to get any of these, it would either be the Sioux Line one or the Louisville and Nashville. But I'm probably not going to get any of these, of course, anytime, because they're not exactly my bag, and they're not within my price range either. And the Mikados will set you back $1,400. And these 060s are actually, I like these a lot. The tenders are literally, from the looks of it, the same ones that come with the stock standard 080, which you'd expect a little better. Hopefully they have better features. They're $900 per unit. The N&W King Cole set. That's a lot of cars. I don't know if I've seen a set from Lionel that actually has this many freight cars, but it's cool. It's like your good old Cole conveyor belt railroad has come to life on your layout. And this set is $3,000. So yeah, I mean, for what you get, honestly, that's kind of fair. And then these cabin cars, which, I don't know, to me that's just a caboose, but they want $130 for a caboose. Yeah, they might have, let's see. It doesn't even specify if they have sprung trucks. Like, this stuff is pricey as hell for what it really is. These AC2 hoppers are nice. They're pretty unique. I think if you just got one of them for a consist, that'd be neat. They are $85. We have graffiti covered hoppers, which I think they look fine. I think they'd probably look a lot better in person. No offense to the person that photoshopped these together, but they're $100 a piece. Yeah, but fair enough. If you're only to get one, that's fine. But again, I'll talk about the whole value for money thing in the end of the video. Now there's the traditional set of trains, which is the only thing that's really in my wheelhouse and what I normally talk about. We have a GP38, which, honestly, this is sick. I think these are nice. They are $500 a piece, but you have some choice here. I think the Seaboard one looks cool. What is this? GP... Is this a... Oh, that's a hydrogen locomotive. I never thought I'd see the day when Lionel would do a hydrogen locomotive. I mean, in general, I'm a little averse to the modern green locomotives like battery electric and hydrogen because if you want to have a green locomotive, just do this. Anyways, rant aside, these look nice. I think the colors on a lot of these look cool. I think the Ohio Central, or basically just the Genesee and Wyoming unit, looks pretty neat. I mean, all of these look great. So here's something kind of interesting. This locomotive, this set, it's okay. I keep forgetting that Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern merged, so to see this, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that happened. Anyways, and here's this. Again, not my bag at all. Still fun. I mean, this set is 430, so any takers? Oh, here's another thing that is very, I don't think on brand for Lionel. We have Beetlejuice cars, which, yeah, when you think of Lionel, the first thing that you think of um, is a movie from, I don't know when that movie came out, like 80 something. I love that movie to bits. We have a VHS of it, and I watched that thing to death all the time. Um, but they should have made like one of the building. You know how the guy, I forgot what the protagonist guy's name was, or one of the protagonists' name was, but he had like a model city. He didn't have any trains though, but he had a bunch of buildings. Like it'd be cool if they made a model of like their house or something instead of like just boxcars with screenshots from the movie plastered on them. And they have a fast track upgraded flashing lights. I don't know what the difference is. All right. So, if I'm honest, I think there were a few good things in that catalog, or in that volume. I think that a lot of them just don't really pique my interest personally. Like, I didn't see a single thing in there where I was like, I would be willing to shell out what they're asking for this piece. And I guess to sort of go over a few of the things that I preluded to while I was looking through the catalog, I really do wish that they would not neglect the traditional line so much. Because now it feels like the traditional line is like 60% or more just like very, very gimmicky sets, and then like rolling stock that's from a franchise that isn't even that clever. It's just like screenshots from the movie, like put on a boxcar or something, and then want $100 for it. When, if I'm honest, like if you want a boxcar with screenshots from a movie plastered onto it, or if you want your personalized Halloween boxcar, just buy a cheap like NPC or a boxcar from a train show for like $5 or less. Sand off the graphics, paint it white, and then get some decal paper and print out your own photos and messages on there. And that costs you like, what? Like less than $10 material cost, especially if you have the stuff on hand to do so, instead of paying 100 for Lionel to do all that for you. Again, I feel like Lionel is sort of playing into the just non-creative mentality of some of the hobby right now. Like, I feel like, not to call people out on not doing things themselves, but I think a lot of what this hobby is and what it's sort of built on is fundamentally a do-it-yourself hobby. Like, rolling stock, I don't mean to be one of those people that's like, oh, people used to, do everything themselves, but that was kind of the way it was. Like, if you wanted some rolling stock, especially if you were in like HO scale or whatever, if you wanted good rolling stock, you'd have to go out and buy a kit and make it yourself, and everything was sort of made by hand. But even though I'm not like super into scratch building things, I am into customization and repairing stuff myself. And this, like what Lionel offers in these catalogs, doesn't interest me. And even if it did, I'd be thinking like, why would I buy this stuff when I could make it myself for the fraction of the cost? I mean, some of it you could, some of it you couldn't. Or, like, you could find an equivalent or a similar piece for just so much less, even though it might not be completely equivalent. Like, it may lack the sounds and all the literal bells and whistles, but you could get, like, for example, they wanted 1700 for that GG1, and I'm sure it is a fine model. I'm sure it runs really good, and it has like it might have like cool pantograph features, like it raises and has sparks. I'm actually not quite sure if they have that stock, but like that's really cool. Or instead of spending 7,000 or 1,700 on a unit, you could spend like $100 on a really nice MPC era or post-war or LTI traditional GG1 that, yeah, it might not be completely scale, and it might not have, like, you might have to raise the pantograph by hand. There might not be any sparks, like simulated sparks. You could get real sparks if you ran it under hot catenary. You get the point of what I'm trying to say here is you get a lot of the value by just buying used. Like, again, the value for money of this stuff, that segues into another thing, just isn't that good in comparison to old and used things. Not even like stuff that's that old. If you want more modern rolling stock and locomotives, you just go to like get some like 90s or 2000s lower end MTH stuff. Like you want a P42 Amtrak locomotive, boom, you can find one for maybe $100 from MTH. It doesn't have all the fancy sounds and everything, but just go to a train show and you might be able to find one for that good of a deal. Or better yet, if you are just simply interested in the old stuff, which I know quite a few people don't really have much of an interest in modern outline trains, you can just go like get some post-war Lionel stuff, or get some 70s era stuff from Lionel, or even Williams or other manufacturers. And that's the thing. I feel like everyone feels like they have to buy new, or not everyone, but a lot of people seem to feel like they have to buy new, and a lot of people they don't know. Some people don't know how to fix their trains or work on them once they buy like a used train. So what they do is, they buy all the new trains, or they only buy new trains, and then if something goes wrong with it, they pay someone to fix it, which, all the power to the person that's getting paid to fix it, but I don't know, there's a point where it's just like, learn how to work on your own trains. like you don't have to, but it's a very good idea to learn, or at least try. And I think that all ties back around to what I feel like this hobby is about in a lot of cases, and I mean, ultimately it's about having fun, so don't let me tell you what to do. But I feel like a lot of the purpose of this hobby is as an outlet to do some, creative and mechanical things. Like, I feel like it helps a lot to have an engineering mindset in this hobby, and I think a lot of people in this hobby like to be both frugal with how they buy things, and they like to fix stuff. So it's sort of a match made in heaven, where you can buy used stuff and fix it up perfectly fine. Like when you're working on an engine, like you need to know like electromechanical stuff, and especially when you're working on an older engine, you can really get in there and work on it. Of course, there are other aspects to the hobby that people like to, not do themselves, which, I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but, I feel like Lionel is sort of feeding into that by just making the cheap stuff that's maybe a little less complicated, less and less prevalent, and making the expensive stuff that you have to be increasingly expert at fixing to be able to, work on. And you need a lot of specific parts to do it, and, well, that's just the whole rant in general. To be clear, I don't hate modern model trains. I think they can be really good. In fact, I think that they're better than older trains if you just look at the models. But if you look at everything around them, and I feel like value for money is really significant there, then the modern stuff falls apart a little bit. Like I said, would you pay 1,700 for a GG1 or 100 for a GG1? And both of them go around the track and have pantographs and have lights, and they can go in forward and reverse. One of them just has some extra features, but they both do the same thing. At least that's the way I see it. Well, if you've gotten to this point, thanks for listening to my little rant. I guess that had less to do with this catalog and more to do with Lionel in general. But I feel like there was not a whole lot worth talking about in this catalog, at least for people like me. There's some cool stuff. I think CM fans have some options. I mean, if you really like the GG1 and you can afford the fancy one, then by all means grab it. Show Lionel that you like your trains, you like to buy them. But if you're on the fence, I would just say, buy an old one. There are a lot of options out there for used stuff, and especially if you learn how to work on them, you can get some really good deals. So that's all I have to say about this catalog and about how I feel in general. And well, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.